Hey guys, it's Guyon here. First of all, to everybody watching this video, I would like to say happy holidays. I hope the end of the year is wrapping up nicely for you. For me, I also had some extra time off work, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to raise a new character for the league. And the build I initially played was a Poison Herald of Thunder Occultist. And I played around a little bit on the POB, and I saw that with very minimal investment and very bad gear, it was already showing me like 2 million Pinnacle Boss DPS. So I thought, hey, this has potential, and I gave it a try. Unfortunately, long story short, it did not really work out, or maybe I wasn't very persistent with it. But yeah, in the clearing department, actually, it was struggling a little bit because for a poison build, you usually sacrifice a lot of initial unhit damage and focus more on stacking the poison and letting the degen kind of taking down the enemies. So what ended up happening was when I encounter a group of monsters, Herald of Thunder will strike down and it hits only one enemy at a time. And it took a while for the first monster to kind of, degen and to death, and then kind of the occultist pop kind of kicks in and then takes down the entire group down. So also defensive wise, it was like the traditional lightning Herald of Thunder version where it's squishy. I did put in spell suppression because the passive tree, the spell suppression is kind of nearby all the poison nodes, so I thought that could help. But then it was just still squishy, so just because you slap on spell suppression onto a squishy build doesn't suddenly make it tanky. So it was a game of kind of outliving, trying to survive until that first enemy kind of pops and take down the entire group. So anyways, yeah, so it did not work out, and then I had this very indecisive moment where I went back to my strength stacker, and by this point I had already sold most of my strength stacking gear to fund the Herald of Thunder poison build, so I had to buy them back. But I didn't want to go back to just the same Brutus-less Sprinkler, so after looking around, I saw that a lot of people are playing artillery ballista, so I ended up getting a bow like this with the implicit fire damage per strength, and I paired this with the quiver poised prism that also does fire damage per strength. And the build was good. Like your coverage was the entire screen. It had very good single target with all the arrows overlapping, but I personally did not enjoy the playstyle too much. I'm not sure. Just setting down your ballistas and letting them fire up in the air and having them rain back down to deal damage, it felt like a delayed damage to me, and that wasn't really what I was looking for. So as you can see here, the build I chose to go with is, I already have an occultist leveled. Let's go to the Death Oath. Now this build is I played a couple times in the past. I really enjoy the playstyle. It's very relaxing and very satisfying, and regardless of how other people may feel, I feel the damage is just enough in just both the clearing and the single target. And this one tend to be the build I tend to fall back to every time I finished experimenting or trying all the builds I wanted for the league. So I'm very excited to be on it, and yeah. But then the problem right now is, as you can see here, like my gear is pretty bad. Like if even the colors here, I need a 2-2-2 color, so 2 red, 2 green, 2 blue. So if this was a blue, I would put in the increased AoE here. Like this quiver does nothing for me, and this ring is whatever, and then the rest is life resist, getting the attributes that I need to kind of just slot everything in. And this bow is also nothing. It's yeah, it has a lot of room for improvement, but and also the passive tree, like I need to regret a lot of points. That's doesn't, like, I don't even know what this is still doing. Yeah, but Right now, all these little currency I'm running very low because I've been trying to get some. Oh, I have 5 regrets. I've been trying to get some regrets and chromes to kind of set the colors and fix my tree. So it's basically in the transition period from the failed Herald of Thunder poison build to um, the Death Oath build. So level 91, don't let this fool you. It doesn't. When your gear is and passive tree is all messed up, like no matter even if you're level 100, it's pretty bad. So having said that, I'm just going to showcase a tier 9. This is nothing special, but at the same time, for a very unoptimized build, the build that's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, I think it can do it pretty comfortably. So it just goes to show you the potential of the build. So let's see what it looks like.
When I'm ready, and not before.
Okay, there's the boss. It's not bad. Nice. Okay, let's just go and save the Sanctum, and I think that's enough for a map showcase.
When I'm ready, and not before.
Okay, so this build is I would say it's a pretty old build, but there's a quite sizable player base that still enjoys the build because, as you saw, the playstyle is very relaxing, kind of walk around, make everything pop. And again, tier 9, I know it's not too difficult of a content, but for a build that's kind of in the transition period where it's like in the middle of nowhere, it really shows what the build can do if properly invested and properly built. And again, a lot of the people know about the build, but just to, in case you're not familiar with it, just to give a quick overview, this armor gives you the death aura, which kind of has like an invisible aura around you, and when enemies are in the area, like they take a degen, and you don't need a 6 link on the armor, because every support gem that you socket into this armor will directly support the death aura. So what I have here is less duration, void manipulation, efficacy, life tap, and swift affliction, and then the last link will be area of effect. And then to help out with the single target, people like to use the caustic arrow. Now a lot of people say this build doesn't have like billions and tens of millions of DPS. I'm personally fine with it, but they added Val caustic arrow here, which this league, which deals huge damage, huge degen, so it's definitely gonna help out in the single target department. So caustic arrow, life tap, vicious projectile, swift affliction, conk effect, and void manipulation. Now this life tap, I'm going to change it to an empower gem once I get a proper bow with like socketed level of gems and socketed level of support gems, because this Val caustic arrow scales really nicely with the gem level. Yeah, so basically like I do not have too much to update because, well, there is nothing to really show for it here. Other than that, the key item that you really need is this armor and impresence that makes despair reservation free if it's cast as an aura with blasphemy. So if you kind of walk into an enemy, everybody is cursed, and then the death aura kind of degens them down, and then you have the occultist profane bloom that's going to make everything pop. So that's kind of like the clearing, and then the single target will be you shoot the arrows and then kind of degen them down. Yeah, so the tree kind of goes up here for the chaos nodes, and then go around here. We use Eldritch Battery, so we can just reserve as much mana as we need, and also go down here to get some more chaos nodes. You have aura nodes here, and yeah, some life along the way as well. And then I would say, while like the build is pretty well rounded, and what I mean by that is, aside from your regular cap resist, you naturally get a lot of chaos resistance for being an occultist, because you get the withering presence here, which gives 60 chaos res, and passing down this way you can also get some chaos res, and then the 1 to maximum chaos res, and then you use this glorious vanity with in the name of Sibakwa to turn a keystone into divine flesh. So you read here, it gives 5 to maximum chaos resistance as well, and then 50% elemental damage is taken as chaos. So aside from instead of mitigating the elemental damage with 75 resistance, you will be mitigating with 81%, so that's a good defenses. And usually the people that play this build, they go for a double cluster setup, which will give a lot of damage. But right now I left some of these points on here, left over from the poison Herald of Thunder, because I'm thinking, let me start with one cluster setup first, and then if I like the balance between the damage and the defenses, maybe I'll also keep the spell suppression in there as well. But if I feel like I'm lacking too much damage, I'll just go the regular route and take out the spell suppression and start a second cluster setup here. Now, going to the bow, I have a base here ready. It just has to be item level 82 or above, I believe, and there's a way to craft a very nice bow for this build, which is going to scale a lot of damage for both caustic arrow and the death oath. So, and it takes about like 6 to 7 divines or so. I have 10 here, so like I do have the currency to get it going, so that will be the next step. I just want to do all these other smaller steps first with the the right coloring, the passive tree, and then my steps will be to get a proper bow. And also the quiver is supposed to be a huge damage slot for the build, and this one is garbage. It does nothing, so I'm gonna be working on that, and then kind of improving all the slots as I go along. Yeah, so that's going to be the journey for this build. And going back to the playstyle, I mean, I always enjoyed it in the past, and now with the Sanctum League, I think it's one of the very good choices, because you kind of walk around and then passively deal damage as long as you're in range, and then you're able to shoot arrows. Like, this is not like a LA damage or fist damage bow where you have to constantly stand there and attack. You just shoot once and you can run around and shoot once. So I think it's the playstyle is going to be very beneficial for the Sanctum content. So yeah, I'm not going to hesitate, and I'm definitely going to be funding pretty much all I have into the build and start farming really significant content. So yeah, if you guys would like to see an update for the build, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if any information you found on this build in this video is helpful, give it a like. And next, after I fine-tune the build a little bit more, I'll definitely have a lot more details for people that might want it. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.